Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Casey Durango with Go Keto with Casey. This is a live YouTube chat from right here in beautiful downtown my kitchen. And I welcome you. Thank you for showing up. Had to make an adjustment there. I'm from Go Keto with Casey. I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds on the ketogenic diet. And I like to talk to others about how they may be able to lose weight, improve their health, and regain control of their lives. Thank you for showing up. This is a live broadcast. I hope that you can hear me. Right now, I don't see anyone around, so I'll just talk to myself for a while. The topic of today's chat is, what did I learn in San Diego at LowCarbUSA? And the truth is, I learned nothing to dissuade me from what I knew already, or didn't know already, but what I've understood already about the ketogenic diet. And I tell you what, I am going to take a break right here just to make sure that I've made this public. Sometimes I forget. Bear with me if you don't mind. And I do apologize. This is the thrill. See, I didn't save it. Oh, public, publish. My bad. Okay, I don't know whether I need to start over or not, but I'm just going to plug on through. I'm just going to keep on going. So I did not publish that, which makes it harder for people out there to see it. My bad. I'm going to keep talking. And if someone does show up here, oh, 3 people are watching. That's an improvement. Can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking. What did I learn in San Diego? You may or may not know that I was lucky enough to attend LowCarbUSA in San Diego, California. And really the world, thank you, Susan, for letting me know, the world leaders regarding the ketogenic, low-carb, high-fat diet, however you want to call it. Most of them were there and speaking and giving questions and answers and available outside of the hall where everyone was speaking for, they were very gracious and very approachable for the most part. So let me get to this, but I do want to ask Susan and Wendy. Hey, Wendy. Did you hear me rumbling around before and saying, oops, I forgot to make this public, my bad? Or did the recording just start? Because I forgot to make the video public. So sorry about that. Again, harder to see if it's not made public. So anyway, moving on. So what I learned after hearing so many learned speakers on various topics, from deep in the weeds science to more clinical applications. Dr. Eric Westman spoke about his experience in his Duke clinic. I heard nothing to dissuade me from what I already understood about the ketogenic diet. By that I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, I certainly don't have all the answers. I know what I believe and what has worked for me, and I've repeated that. But there's so many people offering different opinions, which is fine. But some of them are so contradictory to my understanding of the way this works that I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm just off. That could happen. I could be wrong. But my takeaway from San Diego is that I didn't hear anything to contradict what I have understood about following the ketogenic diet for nutritional ketosis. I do want to point out, and some of you here have heard this now, maybe this is the 3rd time, because I did a patron-only live stream on Friday. The Friday Pep Talk is for patrons, Facebook Live on Saturday. But for those of you who didn't, this is really very straightforward. It's pretty much keep your carbs at 20 grams or fewer a day, eat fatty sources of protein, eat only when you're hungry, and stop at satiety. That's to get into nutritional ketosis, meaning you are burning fat for fuel. And if you want to be doing it and need to do it, burning body fat for fuel. There is therapeutic ketosis, which is a different thing. And there is a lot of great research going on for that. Therapeutic ketosis is when ketones are being used to try to treat neurological disorders, severe autoimmune disorders, severe circumstances. The military is checking it out for those military personnel who are under extreme conditions and sometimes without access to, regular food for long stretches of time, and they're under the water, Navy SEALs for a great deal of time. So there's a lot of study going on with that. That is not to be confused with, I want to burn some body fat, I want to lose weight, I want to get my type 2 diabetes under control. So piling on the ketones, exogenous ketones, various oils, you know what I'm talking about. If they work for you, if you like it, great. But if you're trying to lose body fat and you're frustrated because you think you're doing all the right stuff, meaning I'm pounding back as much fat as I can, I'm doing the MCT oil, and I'm following the pie chart, step away from those couple of things. One thing, nobody talked about the pie chart very much. The pie chart was always as a result of research from the lectures I heard. When asked specifically about the benefit of exogenous ketones for nutritional ketosis, burning body fat, to a person, it was pretty much not really. That's kind of counterproductive. I mean, they were all very professional and measured, but that was my takeaway. If someone else was there, if they heard the lectures and they have a different takeaway, I'm happy to hear it. But that was what I learned. So it was gratifying for me to know that the keep it simple tack is good. Keep your carbs low, eat fatty sources of protein, eat only when you're hungry, stop when you're satiated. Sometimes you're hungry 3 times a day. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm hungry every day and a half. Usually I eat at least once a day. And sometimes they're smaller meals and sometimes they're larger. And sometimes I indulge and just eat, I just eat because we wanted the perfectly allowable, not going to kick me out of ketosis food, but I want more of it. I don't do that often. I try to avoid doing that. I try to live by what I preach, but none of us are perfect. Squirrel's here. Hashtag my friend Jen is in the house. Susan Cosmos, thank you very much, Susan. Happy Super Monday. She writes, God bless you all. ×5. 5 stars. Thank you so much, Susan. You are so generous and supportive. Okay, so first takeaway, we don't need to make this any more complicated than it ever was in the beginning. Keep in mind, the simple stuff didn't come from me. I got it from Dr. Westman. And Dr. Westman is honest to say, he got it from somebody else, who got it from somebody else, who got it from somebody else, all the way going back to 1863, William Banting, a mortician. And his publication, I think it was called Treatise on Corpulence, meaning when you're fat, what do you do about it? The tenets have never really changed. The other takeaway is that our carb tolerance can be higher for some people. Dr. Finney says specifically, if you're a male and you're young and you're very active, those 20 grams of carbs, maybe you can tolerate 50. On the other end of the spectrum, what might have been a tolerance level for you 5 years ago, because by definition you're 5 years older, your carb tolerance may lower. Sad but true. So some of us, I stay under 20 grams a day. Very often I'm much lower than that. Today I've had boiled eggs with some butter and cream cheese and my coffee. And right now I'm actually drinking hot chocolate, believe it or not. So keep monitoring. Another takeaway. Nobody said throw the keto sticks away. These are researchers. They use them and they actually reference, oh, on the keto, on the urine strips, we find that those people were studying the issue of Alzheimer's and insulin in the brain and brain glucose. We find that the keto sticks are an excellent indicator. Keto sticks are perfectly fine. They can register a false negative sometimes in some people. Okay, but all the researchers use them. They all cite them. And these are smart people. Let me see if there was another takeaway. Oh, the research going on and the indication that Alzheimer's is the phrase has been coined is type 3 diabetes. That's a thing. If you get an opportunity to hear a lecture or read the work of Dr. Georgia Ede, E-D-E, do it. Okay, everything froze. Are you guys still there? Everything froze for me. Somebody let me know you're still there. I'm going to keep talking. The research on the impact, it's not the impact of burning ketones on type 2 diabetes, on Alzheimer's. The impact of glucose on our brains. And I'm gonna bring it down as far as I know how to do it. I listened a second time to the lecture of Dr. Georgia Ede. I will listen again and again and again to make sure I'm not giving wrong information. But here is what I got from her lecture. Not only is there such a thing as blood glucose, there's brain glucose. Glucose can pass the brain-blood barrier. Not everything can. And we want that because your brain, even when you're burning ketones for fuel, your brain needs some glucose to function properly. We don't have to eat carbs for that. Our body is perfectly capable of making the glucose needed through a process called gluconeogenesis. It happens all the time. It's going on in my body right now. So the glucose gets up in there, that's great. And it does what it's supposed to do in its carriers and receptors and dendrites and axons and synapses. But insulin does not get whooshed right along with it. There is insulin in the brain, but there is a more complicated mechanism to get insulin into the brain. So while insulin can, hopefully if you're not severely insulin resistant, regulate blood glucose down here from the neck down. From the neck up, not so much. And your brain, the insulin is overwhelmed. It's swamped with glucose, is I think the way she put it. Swamped with glucose. And so what, one might say? The glucose actually can damage brain cells, impacting their ability to grow, to create new pathways. It damages them, particularly in the hippocampus, which is this little thing in the very center of the brain where memory and high executive function takes place for us. And when that happens, it's not good. And it's a cumulative thing. It happens over years. It's not like you have one whoosh of glucose and it hurts your brain cells. You don't want to be flooding your brain with glucose. And if your body's flooded with glucose, if you're not burning ketones for fuel, that's what you're doing. And when you flip over from burning glucose for fuel and burning ketones for fuel, you allow that balance that nature wants, that nature wants in our brains to function, for our brain cells to keep going, to create new pathways, which can happen. Neuroplasticity can happen. It's not that we just are born with a certain number of brain cells and once they die, they're gone forever. If they're not damaged, new pathways can be built. But it's a cumulative thing. It takes about 24 years on average for the symptoms of this kind of brain flooded with glucose, for the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's to begin showing. And those of you who have been impacted by it, and I know many of you have, you know. So that is a great takeaway. If you get a chance to read good research on it, it's not a cure. They're not saying that, they're doing research. Dr. Georgia Ede. I really enjoyed her lecture. I do want to thank everyone for being here. Does anyone have any quick questions? Then I'm going to go back to some more topics. Hey, Sandra. Oh, she writes, hate it, yikes, hate it when the Wi-Fi refuses to cooperate. Hate it. Helen Bruns, hey, thank you for the super chat. Please ask a question when you do that. That's the whole point, but I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for answering each other's questions. Hey, Stephanie. Even in a damaged brain, she writes, new neural pathways can still be built. It is harder, my understanding, Stephanie. It's harder when that glucose is swamping everything. It's just very damaging to the things. I'm going to go back and listen though again. It's very possible other people know more than I, believe it or not. So I'm happy to learn. Hey, Terry. Terry, do you mind me sharing getting out of your comfort zone? I wouldn't show any photographic evidence of it, but may I share what you did and talk about it? Helen Brins, don't need to ask a question, LOL. Okay. And I'm drinking hot chocolate. I'm wearing a hoodie. I was actually chilly in the house today. It's not particularly cold where I am. It's a gloomy day. I was just chilly. And I do find that my body temperature, I used to be prone to just, I was always the one for years. And even in my 30s, oh my, it was overly hot. And now I will walk around with a blanket around my shoulders a lot. So the hot chocolate is Hershey's cocoa powder, 100% dark chocolate. Measured heavy cream, and about 2 teaspoons of Jordan's skinny syrup, salted caramel, and my secret ingredient, pinch of kosher salt. The salt brings out the sweet. I don't know if you knew that or not, but salt helps bring out sweet taste. So I'm having chocolate. Okay, Kathy David, phenomenal explanation for a layperson. Meaning me. I'm so happy. Bonjour. Laurel, bonjour, mon ami. Comment ça va? Vicky G from Southeast Washington. When do the KC water bottles become available? Ooh, Vicky, they sold out. I just got a message right before I went on air. They were limited, and they're on the blog, and they sold out really quickly. Oh, for those of you who don't know, Vicky is sweet enough to ask. Go keto with KC. It's not a swell, but it's like a swell, and it's aluminum, and it holds 17.5 ounces, and it keeps the hot hot and the cold cold. How do it know? I don't know. So I'll be spending the rest of the day sending out product, and we might get some more in. As my marketing guru, shout out to campusmarketing.com, said, these are just for fun, and she was right. They are fun. Shameless plug, yes. Vicky writes, oh boy, I looked on Saturday, shameless plug. Susan, I'm super excited. I cannot wait. I think, Susan, you might have gotten in there first. You might have purchased the first water bottle. Okay, Terry Farlow says I may share. So on patreon.com, one of my favorite things about it is that we have a private forum. It's just KCDurango.com, Go Keto with KC forum. It's like a bulletin board. And what I like to say is it's like Facebook, except it's, it's private, and it helps keep things managed, and we all really want to be there a lot. And so we share with each other. It's a very protected environment. And Terry, who is a seamstress, she took a challenge. She took a risk. She got out of her comfort zone, and she posted a photograph of herself in a strappy, shoulderless or sleeveless entirely top that she just whipped up. I couldn't do that, but she whipped it up, and she showed the front and back and had cute cross things on the back. She's got rocking shoulders. She wore it with her husband to a pretty important event for them. They got to see Diamond Rio, got a backstage pass, and I don't know I can't call the name of the musician, but someone from Diamond Rio even played through her husband's homemade, or not, it's not homemade, that's not professional enough sounding. He makes custom guitar cabinets, speaker cabinets. So that was pretty cool. And she got out of her comfort zone and she looked fabulous. She should do that all the time. Another thing I would like to share. Okay, I missed what Sonia has shared. I'm going to see if I can get back up. Hold, please. Sonia, I turned 53 today, and I've lost 34 oral medications, diabetes, depression, thyroid issues, back and joint pain, and over 75 pounds since last year. You were taking 34 medications? That's amazing, if nothing else. The cost. Sarah Halberg spoke. She was great. And she was at San Diego. And she said, if nothing else, patients are thrilled to not have to spend $600 on insulin. She was talking about using nutrition, ketosis, low carb to treat type 2 diabetes. If nothing else, the money savings. Fantastic. Jimmy Orlander is the musician. Thank you, Terry. Wanda Landers, I almost missed you, didn't get noticed. That was my bad, I believe. I usually try to sit, when I make these up, these are through YouTube, and there's a way to list your YouTube videos, unlisted, private, public, and something or other. And I usually list them as public and then publish them way before, like 45 minutes before. Well, I set everything up. I never changed it from unlisted to public. Sorry about that, guys. Brenda Johnston, I'm down 50 pounds since April, off all meds, feel great. This is the unbelievable, unsung victory of this, is getting off those bleeding medications and feeling better. And think about the cumulative side effects of all these pills, one on top of the other. I don't know how anyone functions taking all these pills. So that is one of my favorite before and after photos. And I don't know who posted it on Keto After 40 with Casey. You know, we all have great, you know, not all of us, but they're great before and after photos. My favorite one is a woman took a picture. Her before photo was 13 pills that she took every day. The after photo was a half a pill. Unbelievable. Bob Smith, I'm also off 2 blood pressure meds, healed fatty liver, dropped A1C from 7.1 to 5 while losing 92 pounds since January 1st. Bravo. Bravo. That is fantastic. So pleased for everyone. Okay, Wanda Landers, fat adapted versus ketosis. What's the difference? There isn't one. Thank you for asking, Wanda. Here's my understanding. I don't know why people get so wrenched up about these phrases, but I know that there's some people say, quit saying you're in ketosis. It's irrelevant. You need to be fat adapted. You have to be in ketosis a while before you're keto adapted. It just means you've been in there for a while. You know, you're not keto adapted after 12 hours of, you know, reducing your carbs. So you have to get through there. You have to switch over from burning glucose to burning ketones. When you're doing that, and you're all firing on all cylinders, assuming you don't go back and forth, you don't carb up, you don't do that, you're keto adapted. You're going to screw it up if you have a cheat day, probably. Cheat meals can totally switch you back to burning glucose, and then you have to start the whole thing over again. But in my understanding, that is the difference. You know, I don't know why some people are so angry. Okie dokie. No asthma events for me on keto. Dory, I don't see her here, but sweet Kimmy from Germany, she got into ketosis, testing by the urine strips. She did not need to use her inhaler. She had an episode where she tested something she wanted to test. She tested. So she ate one of her fiance's puddings and a cookie. And she went back to burning glucose, and she had to use her inhaler the next day. So go figure. Now, another thing I do want to tell you is I'm not a sponsor of this person or this company. It's a vendor that I saw. The product is a ketone reader and glucose reader. As many of us know, there are not too many options for us if we want to read blood ketones. It's pretty much the Precision Extra or the new Nova Form or something like that. I use the Precision Extra, but those blood ketone strips are expensive. Well, the founder of the company has his own personal story about being unhealthy and overweight and how keto changed his life. So he has been in development, gotten FDA approval for something called Keto Mojo, KETOMOJO. And it's a reader, and it tests glucose and it tests ketones. The thing is, he's trying to make the strips more affordable. If you go and order, as a matter of fact, if you go, it won't change anything. It won't help me at all. But if you have the option to say, because I really like this guy, and I had a message from him this morning, back and forth with him. If you order it, and I'll put a link under the thing, 99 cents each, the strips for life. If you're part of the founders member, it's limited. I mean, they can't do it forever. But he really does want to make them more affordable and put them into the hands of more people. So that was I really was excited about that. I've ordered mine. I'm paying for it. Like I said, he's not a sponsor. I'm not getting a kickback, none of that. Now, I did something over the weekend, and I want to thank hashtag my friend Jen and my friend Cindy for both who have done this and talked about it, but somehow it didn't click with me. There is a place in my town. You can go to a company. It's a place called Complete Nutrition. They sell supplements and things, but you don't have to buy anything, and I didn't buy anything, and I'm not going to buy anything. And frankly, the young man, the sales guy, said, if you're doing the ketogenic diet, you don't really need any supplements. You know, take a multivitamin and a fish oil, which is what I do. But I had a body composition scan. I can't show it to you. Well, I could, but then I'd have to come kill you all because it shows the numbers in pounds. I'm going to transpose all of this into percentages and probably start, but I have a baseline. So my body composition is not ideal. It's not awful. It's not bad. But I need to up my lean mass a bit and get rid of some more body fat. And you guys may or may not know that I have a goal. I'd like to lose, from today, I think it's down 7 pounds I'd like to lose. And I want that all to be body fat. I have my gym membership. I've got my baseline of my in-body. It's called an in-body, INBODY, one word. And that's Complete Nutrition. Again, I get nothing from saying this, and I'm not going to be buying any Complete Nutrition products. But I can go back, every couple of weeks, every month, whatever, and check this. So now I have a baseline. Here's one thing I want to recommend. If you have an option to do something like this, or get a DEXA scan, or something as simple as measuring yourself with a tape measure, start a spreadsheet with your weight, whether you're at the very beginning, just contemplating, nearly through, whatever. But particularly if you're near the beginning, take photos, take videos of yourself. Hide them away if you don't want anyone else to see them. My ginormous spreadsheet is password protected. No one's getting in there without me. I don't want anyone to see my years of weight. But get measurements. You'll be amazed. And it's particularly helpful if the scale is not moving. We know the scale is not the only measure. So do something. Be brave. Take pictures. Make a video diary. Get an in-body scan of this sort if you can. Some gyms have them. Get a DEXA scan if you can and can afford it, so you can compare. It is so empowering to see the difference. I wish I had done this. I don't even know if they existed when I started in 2014. But do it. I wish I had seen the difference. I'm pretty good now. I would have been thrilled to see this at the beginning. So there's that. Okay, hashtag my friend Jen writes, also at 5-star nutrition for in-body scan. Thank you. Is that at like a supplement place as well, Jen? Okay, you know, Dory Lamarco, I haven't taken any measurements either because I couldn't bear to know. I still haven't, but I am going to because of my exercise. I want to find out what difference there may or may not be in my arms. This is going to be addressed with revision surgery of my mastectomy reconstruction because that's crazy. My waist, my hips, and everything else, my legs. So do it. Don't be brave. Don't show them to anyone. Don't show them to anyone if you don't want, but take them. Okay, Tori McKay Steele, 3 inches off my waist in 15 pounds. To me, I think that's a high ratio of inches to pounds. That's fantastic. And Stephanie Shonian shares, Dory, try taking pictures of your clothes as you reduce. That's a great idea. You know, some people take pictures of their starting jeans, and then they lay their next jeans on top, and then they lay their next jeans on top of them, and they take a picture like this. That's really great. Yeah, I took a picture that I can't even look at. Dory, there are so few photos of me from before. My family and friends knew not. If they were going to take pictures and I was going to be in them, they knew not to let me see them. Don't post them anywhere I'm going to possibly see them. Don't dare tag me on Facebook where I might see it or other people see it. Seeing photographs of myself would literally send me into a depressive state. One was really bad, really bad. Now I don't even recognize the person in those photos. It's the only way that I can look at them is because I can't even identify with that person. And I just my lovely mate was standing right there just about 90 seconds before I went on air. And I told him, I said, can you believe that I am standing almost every day in front of a camera or a computer? It would have been unheard of. You can do this. The way your life will change, the way you look at yourself, the way you feel about yourself. We've all hidden our light under a bushel, a big bushel of fat. Well, I got rid of the bushel of fat. I still have a peck of fat. How's that whole thing? A bushel and a peck? A bushel and a peck. I've still got some fat. I don't necessarily look the way I want to look all the time. And I'm not necessarily the person I want to be all the time. But it's a hella better than it was. No comparison. Buenos dias, Luz Diaz. I always love it when you pop in and say buenos dias. All right, let me see if I can go on to a few other things. So doctors Stephen Finney, Jeff Volek, Dominic D'Agostino, Sarah Hallberg, Georgia Ede, Eric Westman, my personal favorite. Oh, I'm leaving out people and I shouldn't be doing that. Oh, Gary Tops was there. So all of the authors of all these books. By the way, a couple of my patrons' books are on the way to them, signed by Dr. Finney and Volek. You know who you are. So the art and science of low carbohydrate living, the art and science of low carbohydrate performance, good calories, bad calories, which is a very dense read by Gary Tops. I did read it, and it's a lot of information, but it's dense. New Atkins for a New You by Westman, Finney, and Volek. Who else? So much great information. What I think I'm going to try to do is take some of these big points, make old school videos breaking down the points, 8-minute videos, trying to explain what the information out there and kind of separate the hype. As I said, some people will take a thread of fact and try to weave an entire sweater out of it. And some of the stuff out there just does not hold water. No doubt there's more to learn. But there's no downside to keeping it simple. No downside. All right, guys. I love how you guys are answering each other's questions and talking to each other. Okay, how does the new Atkins differ from keto? That's an excellent question. I think remember that the new Atkins for a New You was published a while ago, before this was getting a little bit more mainstream. And I understand, I'm saying this from what I kind of picked up. I think that the publishers of that book really, had to broaden it a little bit, because it was before people were saying saturated fat is okay, which it is. Eating saturated fat is okay. You don't want it in your blood, but you can certainly have it in your food. So it's more broad. But in the original Atkins, and Jackie Eberstein, how can I forget Jackie Eberstein? Fantastic lecture. The topic, making healthy babies. She gave some devastating facts about the impact of type 2 diabetes, the diets of not only the mothers before a baby is conceived, how the diet, the nutrition, and the health of the father can impact a baby who has not yet been conceived. When the baby's conceived, these poor nutrition habits can set this child up for real problems. Again, another lecture I need to go back and listen to, and I will take notes on that. Such an important subject. It's just a generation, and then another generation, and then another generation that will be negatively impacted if something is not done. The original Atkins, as you may know, started you off with 2 weeks of induction, which was essentially what keto is: 20 grams of carbohydrate or fewer a day, fatty sources of protein. But then, as you kind of got, the theory was, as you kind of got that, you could start reintroducing very slowly carbs, which is why some people it didn't work, because some of us are very insulin resistant. We really can't tolerate carbohydrate. And so if I started, on the ladder, if you guys remember, there was like ongoing weight loss, and then there was maintenance or something. Can't remember the ladders. I would have failed. It just would not have worked for me. This is the next step. This is essentially induction forever. Dory Lamarco, my poor daughter, 2 fat parents, and she says we're all doomed to eternal fat pants. False. And you can tell her with great confidence, this is not undoable. It is undoable. You might all be insulin resistant. You might all need to always watch it, but it's undoable. If I can do this, you can do this. If you've seen my before pictures, and destined to be fat. I've been fat for 29 years. With the pregnancy of our second child, who was born when I was 25, I put on 60 pounds. And I don't think I lost an ounce after he was born, and I just went right up from there. And I'm 59 now. How many years is that? Is that 34 years of being fat? Whoa! Holy cow, I've been saying 29. It's 34. I was fat, no, because I started when I was 55. 30 years, thank you. Squirrel. 30 years of being really, really fat. Not just kinda, not pudgy, not pleasingly plump, not zoftig. I was fat, really fat, and really unhappy about it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, Just Me writes, I've been fat for 34 years. Yeah, I know, right? But you don't have to be. Don't play around. Don't play around. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The people with whom I speak, and I spoke with 2 people yesterday, between the 2 of them, they have lost, I'm doing math in my head, they've lost 173.6 pounds. One since December, one since January. You know what? They don't play. They don't carb up. They don't do net carbs. They don't eat fake bread. Almond flour's not on the food list. Neither is coconut flour. Neither is MCT oil, other than sauteing food. Neither is MCT oil. They don't play. And they've been really successful. Don't play. If you can fudge, pun intended, if you can fudge with the diet and works for you, great. Not my business. I don't get a vote on what you eat. But if it's not working for you, step back. Are you in ketosis? Yes, you can use the keto sticks. They're perfectly legitimate. If you are in ketosis, not losing inches nor pounds for at least 4 weeks, ask the question, am I overeating dietary fat? Am I drinking my fat? If I'm drinking all my fat that my body needs, it's not going to burn it from my butt. If you're not doing that, are you simply eating more food than you need? That is a toughie. I try not to say the word calories because I think that's really a charged word for a lot of people. Just think about your energy needs. Are you eating more food than your body needs for the energy it is expending? And that, if you're in an office and you're sedentary most of the day, maybe your energy needs are not great. So you really don't need to eat that much. Eat only when you're hungry. It is perfectly fine to eat 1 meal a day. It's perfectly fine to eat 1 meal every 2 days. You don't, I don't arbitrarily fast. Intermittently or otherwise. I eat when I'm hungry. And sometimes that means I don't eat much. And some days I eat more. One of the patrons on the Friday pep talk coined the phrase intermittent eating. I think that's brilliant. Just think of it as intermittent eating. Eat when you're hungry. Okay? I think I covered most of everything that I wanted to cover. Does anyone have, okay, excuse me. I'm going to, Dory Lamarca was right. So the 80-15-5 ratio is not valid. It's not that it's not valid. Think of it this way, okay? I'm going to take it to an extreme. The carbs have never been measured as a percent. They've been measured as actual carbs, grams. Think of it, I'm going to get out my calculator here, my phone. If you go by percentages, you can easily, for one thing, way overeat calories in general. But say you're eating I'm not going to do the math. If you decide, well, all I have to do is match that pie chart, as long as I keep my M word, I don't say the word if I can avoid it, my M word stuff in line, that stupid pie chart, I can eat all the calories I want. So if I'm eating 5,000 calories a day, or even 2,500 calories a day, which would be massive for me, that might make my percentage of carbohydrates, because it's just a math problem, 5%, okay, I'm going to get my thing out here. 5% of 2,500 that's not right. Never mind. It's 125. That's not right. I can't do it. Oh yeah, it's 1,250. 5%. Never mind. You could end up eating 75 grams of carbs if you only go by percentages. It's a number of grams. If you follow the number of grams, eat fatty sources of protein. Eat only when you're hungry and you stop when you're satiated. The math will take care of itself. It's just the way the food is composed if you follow the food list. That's what I do. I never counted anything other than grams of carbs, ever. Never did. Protein, fat, calories. The harder thing was eating only when hungry. Because I realized that although I wasn't counting calories, I was consuming the energy, exactly the energy my body needed, because I just flatlined as far as weight loss. All right, guys. Marge Anchor Morton, there's a thread in your Facebook group right now that has misleading info. Even posted a link to Dr. Westman's video backing up the 75 fat intake to stay in ketosis. I'll go over there. By the way, Keto After 40 with Casey is open. Some people think it's still closed, but whoever is coming in, whether you're sharing it with a friend or whatever, must answer the 3 questions. Must. It is a must, because we're trying to keep membership a little bit down. All right, guys. Dory writes, clarity, under 20 carbs and eat fatty protein only when hungry. Got it. That's it. You got it. You've learned. Really need to know about keto. You can learn in the White Coat video. All righty. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next Monday. I do a Facebook Live on Saturdays at 11 a.m. And Friday Pep Talks has been moved to Patreon only of $10 plus patrons. Get that, and it's a lot of fun. And I will be doing some more old school videos. Glad to be back home, but the conference was awesome. Thank you for all the support. I will see you next time. Bye.